Hello, everyone. Welcome to Let's Talk News Live, and we're still having internet problems, and I just don't know what to do about it. Okay, well, I hope that you can see me and hear me. I don't know if it's a computer problem, but we're going to get to the bottom of it. Hi, Colleen. How are you? If Deb is here, Lepedo, I just want you to know I put the judge's name from the other day in the comments. His name is Judge John Wilson, who is from Brooklyn. He was the one who talked about Juan Marchand. How you doing, Ralph? Okay. I don't know. It's a bad day today. Today's not my favorite day. Good. I'm glad you see and hear me. I noticed that last week on the show when I was having problems with the internet, which I don't know if it's my wire or the connection or what, that I kept freezing up in the playback. So, but it doesn't matter. As long as you can see me, that's all that matters. Today we have interesting stories. I mean, some crazy stuff has been going on. Crazy stuff. I don't know if you saw that not only was a church fired upon today, and people killed. A car drove through the church in Michigan and set the place ablaze and shot a bunch of people inside. But yesterday in North Carolina, on the water, not about an hour away from here, guy in a boat drove by and shot 3 people. Oh, hello, Susan Durama. I'm so glad that you're with us tonight. Thank you for joining us. So the question, and now apparently a protest is starting in Portland again, because, well, supposedly it's because President Trump is sending troops to help quell crime and stop the attacks on ICE, because they are antagonizing ICE agents all over the place. Hello, Francine. Good to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, but before we get started with that, I want to show you something that I uncovered after last show about James Comey. This was in 2018. It was an interview that he did. And I think you're going to be shocked by what you hear, because this says a lot about who James Comey is and how he handled things. Watch.
Ending up in the sit room. How did that happen?
I sent them. Something I probably wouldn't have done or maybe gotten away with in a more organized investigation, a more organized administration, in the George W. Bush administration, for example, or the Obama administration. The protocol, 2 men that all of us have perhaps increased appreciation for over the last 2 years. And in both of those administrations, there was process. And so if the FBI wanted to send agents into the White House itself to interview a senior official, you would work through the White House counsel, and there'd be discussions and approvals and who would be there. And I thought, it's early enough, let's just send a couple guys over. And so we placed a call to Flynn, said, hey, we're sending a couple guys over. Hope you'll talk to them. He said, sure. Nobody else was there. They interviewed him in a conference room at the White House Situation Room, and he lied to them. And that's what he's now pled guilty to.
What did he think they were coming over there for?
I don't think he knew. No, we didn't tell him. Just said, sending over a couple of agents. I want to ask you some questions. I didn't have this conversation. My deputy director did. But hope you got a few minutes you can sit down and talk to them. And he said, sure.
How's that? Okay, he did not tell him why they were coming. It wasn't an official inquiry. He did not let him know that he was under investigation in any way, shape, or form. And later on, we all know that Mike Flynn pled guilty, not because he was actually guilty, but because he wanted to protect his family, because the witch hunt was on. So that's interesting. Hello, Professor. How are you? You know what, Professor? There is a place in Myrtle Beach called the Kakilaki Cafe. So I was going to take a picture in front of it just for you, but I never got around to it. I don't know what's going on with this internet. I'm getting service. I'm not getting service. At any rate, again, just let me know if I freeze up. I don't know. So anyway, let's talk about that. I want to hear from you. What do you think about that interview? Did you see it? Have you ever seen it before? Do you think that Flynn was set up? I know that Flynn's lawyers wanted that admitted into court, but the judge said no because they said that there was no investigation at the time. I don't understand that, but we've seen crazy things happen in court. Hi, Andrew Dorman. Good to have you. Hello, Angela Ricca. Good to have you too. Yeah, it's oh crap, where'd I go? Hold on a second. I'm having all kinds of problems today. Why isn't that coming up? Okay, there it is. A disgusting setup, the poor man. Yeah, it was. I know they can make a case out of a bologna sandwich. Well, that's the truth. But the problem was, right, is that at the time that he did it, Trump was the president. So how is that? And his family too. Yeah. But think about this, okay? Think about the fact that a new president is coming in, and he said it in the interview. He said that because Trump was brand new and that he took advantage of the fact that his administration was disorganized, and he said that it makes you have a better appreciation of George Bush and Obama. So, in other words, the deep state he had an affinity for, but someone from the outside coming in to clean up America on behalf of its people, he didn't enjoy that very much. And so they gave a call, and Flynn, thinking that, okay, he's the head of the FBI, let's chat. It was silly on Flynn's part to trust him, certainly, but no case against Hillary. I get it. Yeah. Okay, but no case against Hillary. So I hope people will share this far and wide. I'm going to do my best in sharing it. But as you know, for me, sharing things don't go very far when they're political. It's so funny. I have like 11,000 followers on Facebook. I've got 5,000 followers. I'm sorry, on TikTok, 5,000 followers on Facebook. And when I share something political, maybe 4 or 5 people see it. If I share something like today, we went to a grand opening of a friend's pizzeria, and I shared that on a different page. I got 10,000 views on it. It's just so freaking unbelievable. Comey registers as a Republican until 2016. That's fine. It doesn't matter how he registered. We've talked about that 1,000 times on this show. Your registration doesn't matter. It's a matter of, and I know you know this. I'm not preaching to you, Ralph. But if you're a member of the deep state, you're a member of the deep state. So that's it. I got my mother calling on here. Okay, well, we'll call her back in a minute. Okay. So I wanted to pull some stuff from Al Jazeera. Because I thought it was important that we take a look at some of the things that are happening from the perspective of Al Jazeera, which is mostly a Muslim channel, right? And they look at foreign affairs like the BBC, but for the Muslim countries. So I wanted you to see, Charlie Kirk's death and how they portray that. Same here. I shared my dog today, got several likes. Politics 1, if any. Yeah, got it. And congratulations on the new dog. She's beautiful. All right. So let's see how Al Jazeera covered Charlie Kirk's death.
Is what Charlie Kirk did. Went to colleges and high schools to spread his often controversial version of conservative beliefs. Wednesday in Utah, when asked about the numbers of mass shootings, Kirk asked if it would include numbers from gang violence. And then... Great! A single shot is heard. Utah's governor said it was clearly an act of political violence. Kirk was a huge supporter of President Trump, credited with helping swing many young white men in his direction and helping him win 2 elections. But Kirk was incredibly controversial.
The spiritual battle is coming to the West, and the enemies are wokeism or Marxism combining with Islamism to go after what we call the American way of life.
He often spent time on his podcast and social media degrading Islam, focusing on alleged crimes committed by African Americans against white people, once saying that the U.S. is the least racist country in the history of the world. Views that took hold with millions of his supporters, and there are concerns his death could lead to more violence.
It's as bad as the 70s and 80s. And that's when we had a lot of political assassinations, some of the most famous ones, 60s, 70s. And we're getting to that point now where, I think in the 70s they were having 1,800 bombings a year. I mean, that's the situation we could be reliving now.
Kirk was a big believer in the right to carry arms, once making this chilling remark.
I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year, so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational.
Oh my God.
Now the question, with his death that authorities are calling a political assassination, lead to more violence in the United States.
So that was last week, a couple weeks ago now. The question, would it lead to more violence in the United States? And what have we been seeing? More violence in the United States. The one thing about Charlie Kirk's death is people who were not necessarily churchgoers are suddenly showing up at church. Now, we have not heard about a motive in the Michigan church shooting, and that was the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We don't know. I have no inside information, but something in me is saying that these incidents are not isolated. They're choosing ICE, they're choosing Christians, they're choosing Jews. We saw the young couple in D.C. get gunned down. What was it? 2 months ago, 3 months ago, maybe 4. The gentleman worked at the embassy. Why is this happening? I'm going to show you footage of the protest in New York against Netanyahu. What is going on? What is going on? And you saw what Al Jazeera said, right? Kirk's controversial stance was according to them, anti-Muslim. So what's going on here? Hello, Lucille. Good to have you. Good to have you. A creation of groups to cause a lot of unrest within America by various groups. Yeah, it is. And now Trump is looking for where the money's coming from. And he wants to see who's funding it. And I think that's why we're going to see more violence, right? To stop people from going to church, to stop people from feeling comfortable in their everyday life. To stop people from enjoying their American nationality and their customs. There's my mother. Okay, she was calling before, but here she is. Hello, Mama. Good to have you. So why is all this violence occurring? Is it coincidental? Is it, could these all be isolated incidents? And if they are, this kind of stuff happened in the past, in the 70s. This happened with, what's his name? With the Black Panthers. That was a violent group, right? Looking for civil rights for Blacks. And Martin Luther King was not, he did not want to be violent, even though he was pushed to be violent. He did not want to be violent. So we saw that in the 70s with the protest for the Vietnam War. That was violent. What is going on? Hello, Tammy. Good to have you, darling. We have armed guard at our church, even in the Lutheran church, and also here and in the Catholic church now. In order to get rid of Christianity, socialists want to get rid of Jews first. To them, the rest will fall when Mother of all faiths and invisible God ceases to exist. Agreed. Absolutely agreed. The left uses Muslims as a tool. I agree with you. I think I go a step further. I think that the elitists use Muslims as a tool. And, it's kind of like, the 1940s again, right? And so you have all these people right now focused on getting rid of the Jews, but the Christians are next, the Buddhists, everybody that is an infidel is going to be targeted eventually. The thing that I think a lot of people don't understand is Iran was once Persia, and they gave succor or comfort, aid to 4,000 Muslims. And today, Iran is a Muslim-run country. Women in Iran were one time free. They were doctors, they were lawyers, they were anything they wanted to be, mothers, housewives, and now they're slaves to their husband, covered from head to toe. How did this happen? How did this happen? I mean, what kind of a religion holds up someone who is violent as their savior, leader? I don't know. It disturbs me greatly. This fundamentalist Muslim movement disturbs me greatly, because the one thing about fundamentalist Muslims are there's no room for anybody that's not Muslim. If you accept Allah, then you're in. But if you do not, if you have a different religion, then you are an infidel. And eventually all infidels will have to be purged. It's worrisome. The craziest part is that the left defends Islam, but Islam is far more conservative than we are. Far more conservative. Far more. Women in bathing suits in Iran back then. Yeah, it's the truth. Ba'ath Islamic Party. I'm not familiar. So please fill us in. That's, I'd love to hear more from about that. In the meanwhile, I think I could talk over this. There's no sound on this. So this is Halloween display in Texas. Okay, Halloween display in Texas. What do you think? Free speech? Okay with you? If those people were Italian, would it be okay? If those people, those mannequins were Italian, would that be okay? Right? 18 Italians were lynched back in the early 1900s. If their skin was a different color, would that be okay? Is it okay? How do you feel about it? There's no Palestine in the Quran or the Bible. It's a socialist movement. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. There you go. I keep forgetting. I don't have my mouse. You know what? But Palestine was never a country. But the thing is that I don't know if we talked about this or not, but apparently right after Starmer announced that he wanted to recognize Palestine as a state, Palestine created, I don't know if it was a lawsuit or what, or press release or how it happened, but they wanted reparations because it was oh my God, what's his name? Winston Churchill, who gave Israel to the Jews, because up until then, what was it called then? It wasn't called the UK. It was called England. Britain was in control of that land, and they gave it to the Jews. So go figure that out. The Ba'ath Party ideology is based on Arab nationalism and Arab socialism, and it explicitly promotes a secular identity to unite Arabs of all faiths, including Muslims and Christians. Here's an overview of the Ba'ath Party relationship with Islam, historic view of Islam. The founder of Ba'athism, Michael Aflag, viewed Islam as an important part of Arab heritage and history, but not as a blueprint for modern government. I can't get the whole thing here, so maybe you all can read it. Okay, and thank you for that, Ralph. British Mandate White Papers. Yeah. So Palestine, so they never wanted to have a two-state solution because they don't believe that the Jews should occupy any land there. Their whole focus is to get rid of the Jews. And as I said, infidels. And that includes Christians, non-believers. It's a very interesting religion that you just need to say the words that you believe and commit to Allah, and you're a Muslim. But if you want to stop being a Muslim, that's not so easy. So interesting. All right. I want you might have heard this and seen this on TV. An ICE agent was relieved of duty because he shoved a woman. The thing is, I don't know. Well, I'm going to show it to you and then you tell me what you think.
The Immigration and Customs Enforcement agent repeatedly says adios as an Ecuadorian woman cries out for her husband, now in ICE custody. In Spanish, she says, "You guys don't care about anything." Then, in this now viral video, she appears to touch him, and he pushes her to the ground as her son and daughter look on. The unidentified officer, who was relieved of his duties, is the latest to draw scrutiny to ICE tactics. The incident happened on Thursday as ICE agents carried off the woman's husband after he showed up for an asylum hearing at a New York courthouse. Immigration courts are an increasingly common site for ICE arrests. The woman, Monica Moreta Galarza, was taken to a hospital for a head injury. In this video posted online, she says in Spanish, "Over in Ecuador, they beat us there too. I didn't think I'd come here to the United States and the same thing would happen to me." Later, Moreta Galarza went to the office of New York Congressman Dan Goldman.
It is just one example of too many where we have these secret police officers who are attacking our communities with excessive violence, excessive force, and they just think that they can do it with impunity.
In a statement, Tricia McLaughlin of the Department of Homeland Security said the officer's conduct in this video is unacceptable and beneath the men and women of ICE.
Isn't it interesting? She comes from Guatemala. ICE wouldn't have arrested her husband if he didn't have a criminal record. I'm sure we're going to hear about that criminal record. Maybe we have already. I don't know. I know that there was one situation where there was a tussle with a wife and he was a rapist. He was a rapist of children. And this may be the case, but I don't know. So I don't want to put anything out there that isn't true. But she comes from Guatemala and she went over to Dan Goldman's office. How many New Yorkers, right? New Yorkers who were born and raised in New York their whole life know who Dan Goldman is and know who their assembly member is and know who their Congress member is and could walk over to the office? How many? I thought it was very interesting that she grabbed him and he, pushed her back and then she collapses. She goes forward and took him with her. But somehow that turned into he shoved her. But if you looked at that video closely, she collapsed her legs, went down, and he toppled over with her. And then when the daughter came out from behind him, he was very gentle and he told her to go around by the mother. I don't know. I don't buy it. But, it's kind of like Whipgate, right? Remember that? The guy on the horse who was relieved of his duty, the Border Patrol. Okay, so we have Peter Peter says Egypt is powerful because of the Suez Canal. Joshua says the Roman invaders named Israel Palestine. Peter said Ben Gurion Canal will offset that. Ben Gurion will come out in Gaza. That makes sense. This is pure insanity. Attacking the officers, go back to their own country. And, but it's like we want to pretend that these are just random victims, and I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I just don't buy it. Now, she says that her husband, in one report, I don't speak Spanish. I barely speak Italian. I can make out some words sometimes because they're similar to Italian. But one report said that she said, take me instead, because if he goes home to Ecuador, he'll be killed. I want to know why he'll be killed. Why? Because he raped children in Ecuador? Why will he be killed? Is this the one? What crime? All right. What crime did he commit in Ecuador that he would be killed? In other words, Yemen, Houthis, and Palestinian Gazans will control this waterway. Oh, okay. I'm finally here. Thank you, Gloria, for joining us. You can learn a lot from the professor and Ralph. The left creates false flags all the time to push their agenda with inflammatory tactics. Yeah. And it's getting people killed, or are they paying to kill people? All right. So here's Free Palestine we might go over tonight, but I don't care. Here's Free Palestine and anti-Netanyahu at the UN.
Chanting, flag waving, keffiyeh wearing demonstrators gathered early in Times Square. Their message to the Israeli Prime Minister: you are not welcome here.
And that it's unconscionable that the elected officials in the U.S. and New York City and nationally are rolling out the red carpet for him. And we're surrounded by thousands of New Yorkers and are here to demand an arms embargo, to demand real consequences on Israel for its genocide against Palestinians.
Thousands made their way through blockaded streets and a heavy police presence to deliver that message to the United Nations, where he was speaking.
84% of the American electorate now favors an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Only 27% support Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel. Across the spectrum, Democrats overwhelmingly now have a negative view of Israel, a dramatic shift since the beginning of the war on Gaza.
That negative view is particularly strong among Democrats under age 50, but support among Republicans and older voters is also waning. Jewish voters, too.
Not in our name. This is despicable what's going on. This is what my grandparents fled and fought against. And as a Jew, it's horrendous.
For Palestinian Americans, the change in public sentiment offers a glimmer of hope.
I've been here since 78, and in 78, I was afraid to say I'm Palestinian. Now my flag in the streets of New York, up and high. But I want to say that I hope the world will not squander the blood of the Palestinian.
Many hope that change will come for Gaza as well. Kristen Salimi, Al Jazeera, New York.
So just to correct that statement, 46% of Americans sympathized more with Israelis, which is a low number. It's one of the lowest numbers. 32% of Americans approves of Israel's military actions in Gaza, a new low, and that's true. 60% were disapproving. So that's not very, very factual. What do you think? He's a criminal. That's enough said. Right? The left creates false flag. He's a criminal. Oh, we're not talking about Netanyahu. You're talking about the Ecuadorian who was arrested. I don't buy it either. It's such BS, and they're all lying. What a big farce. Yeah, sorry, I guess it's taking a little while to catch up, the comments to catch up with because of the internet, and I'm going to find out what this is about. So much news these days. Yeah, there's a lot of news out there. It could have ended the hostages. Yeah, it could have ended if they released the hostages. Hello, Ramon. Thanks for joining us tonight. Well, supposedly the president is feeling very hopeful about ending the war in Gaza. But the question is, though, is now this is the news, right? This is the news that is going out to all of the Middle East countries. Al Jazeera is one of the biggest networks out there. So, and they're not, they have a favorite in this race, right? And they don't seem to be telling the story with both sides without bias. It was very well staged. Yeah. And we're talking again about the wife and children that were at the courthouse, the Ecuadorian wife and children who supposedly was pushed by the ICE officer. Okay. Maybe your comments on Netanyahu will come up during this video. This is officers being doxxed in California. Watch.
Coming in from the acting U.S. attorney over in California, as he says, quote, "The assaults and doxing of federal agents must stop. We will aggressively pursue criminal charges against those engaging in this unlawful behavior. Today, we unsealed a federal indictment charging 3 women, 2 from Southern California and 1 from Colorado, with following a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agent home, live streaming their pursuit and posting the victim's home address on Instagram. Each defendant faces 5 years in federal prison." Now, they are still looking for at least one of the women, and you are going to see her photo there on the left-hand side of your screen. Cynthia Raygoza, 37 years old, of Riverside, according to the U.S. attorney, is one of 3 women charged in that 2-count indictment with following a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agent home and live streaming his home address on Instagram. She faces up to 5 years in federal prison if convicted. Law enforcement is continuing its search for Raygoza.
So, California is doing the right thing, arresting people, but the fact that they just passed a law saying that ICE agents can't wear masks, or no law enforcement can wear masks, or is it just ICE agents? I wonder. I can't remember. I mean, but how do you feel about that? Do you think that law enforcement should be able to wear masks as long as they show that they are law enforcement, as long as there is identifying marks on their clothing? Or do you think that masks should be prohibited for law enforcement? I'd be interested in knowing what you think about that. I think that I understand, right? We understand, like Serpico, right? Like undercover detectives, that they have to keep their identity secret, because if they don't, then, you know, people are on the lookout for them. But also because they can't do their job. If people know who they are, then they can't do their job. Colleen makes the point, the left loves masks. Yeah, but except for only when they wear them. So to keep their identity secret. And you notice that Newsom didn't say anything about, you know, protesters not being able to wear masks. And, you know, God help me. You know, wasn't there a group in the past that used to assault people wearing hoods and things like that in the past? And we're at it again. And they were Democrats too, right? So why, if you're protesting and if you believe in your cause, why do you need a mask? Why are protesters wearing masks? Oh, so they can't be found? Well, but if you're standing up for your principles, your rights, your principles, why wouldn't you want to be identified? Look, Charlie Kirk, everybody knew who he was. This show, I have been hammered and targeted and death threats and stuff in the mail and all kinds of things. And, you know, I thought I would end the show not because of that, just because I thought people were bored by it. And because, you know, my daughter had to go on to bigger and better things. But when Charlie Kirk died, I felt it was important for conservatives to have a voice on air, no matter if our reach is only a couple of thousand every episode. And that's, you know, I mean, we're doing a little better now, but man, oh man, you know, so why why, if you believe in what you're saying, why do you mask up? Why? I understand police officers, but the majority of lawmakers are hypocrites because they pass laws but don't enforce them. Yeah, there are too many laws in the books, if you ask me. Wear masks, why not? Yeah, you're talking about law enforcement, I think. In North Carolina, masks are banned. See, now we need more of that, in my opinion. That's my opinion. Maxine Water needs to wear a mask, not because of COVID. I love when Ramon is here. It's funny. I miss Debbie. I think hoodies should be banned. Yeah, well, it seems to me that the only reason why you want to hide your face out in public if you're protesting is because you're going to do something wrong. When law enforcement does it, as long as there's identifying information on their bodies, it's so that people can't identify them out in public and dox them like this. Makes more sense for law enforcement to be allowed than criminals. Yeah, well, that historically, right? We've had criminals wearing masks forever. But with law enforcement, it's not as if they're wearing all black and you don't know who they are. They are clear. They have bulletproof vests that have ice all over it. They have Homeland Security. They have identifying markers. Now, if I hear one more politician say that they're snatching people off the streets, without telling them who they are, that's just BS. It's BS. And by the way, if you're in this country illegally, you're a criminal. But they're not just taking people who are the only crime is being here illegally. They're taking people who have criminal records either here or in the country that they came from, because we are the host country and they are spitting in our face. How is that a good thing? Are we going to be like Sweden? We are for being kind and taking people in, they turn around and rob and rape and pillage. That's what's happening here. 3 things masks are used for: perform surgery, painting a wall, or rob a store. Yeah. Maybe another topic someday. Eric Adams dropped out of the mayor's race. Yes, he did today. And so tell me, who should drop out next? Maxine Waters, 3-bagger. Professor, I shouldn't laugh. But also, they're public servants and touching diseased people. That's true. And they get spit on. The only ones who are taking people are child traffickers. Well, that is the God's honest truth, isn't it? So Adams dropped out. And the question is, who should drop out next? Angela Ricketts says Cuomo. Cuomo's leading, Angela. I just want you to know that he's the front runner. So he's taking Democrats away from Mamdani. Do you think that Curtis is going to take Democrats from Mamdani? That's just a legitimate question. If I want to see where Adams voters go in the next poll, and I said that last week, right? I said, let's see where the Adams voters wind up going, and we can tell if they hop over to Curtis. It'll be interesting. If they hop over to Cuomo, Curtis has to go. He just has to go. Because even if there are Republicans who won't vote for Cuomo, it's a small percentage. Remember, Democrats now have a 10-1 advantage in New York City. Think about that. We keep bending over for everyone and begging for more. Well, we're not bending over. There's this crazy group who hates America and is getting paid by who knows who to continue to hate America. And they call themselves members of Congress, and they continue to point fingers at us as if we're doing something wrong. Those are the ones bending over, because they're called useful idiots. Because they think somehow they'll be spared. They're not going to be spared. People who are wearing masks are germophobic. Yeah. Everything I see shows Mamdani ahead. Yes. Trump knows Cuomo well. Yes, he does. I said it on this show when Jennifer was still here. ages ago that, in my opinion, Cuomo and Trump are trying to get the country back. And, Cuomo, I think, went back to his blue dog roots, in my opinion. And Cuomo has a lot of ties or scores to settle with Tish James, with Hochul, with so many other people. So I wonder if they want to bend the knee, they can start with Jesus Christ. Well, you're right about that, but the question is, we talked about it. Christians, Jews. You saw the Al Jazeera, the Jews saying that Israel, turning their back on Israel. Do you think that Christians are going to be afraid to go to church now? I'm going to sit on the couch since Adams dropped out of the election. Really? Okay. Interesting. So you don't want either one, either Cuomo or Sliwa. You were for Adams, and the other two, no. Interesting. And there's a, he had only 11%, I think, in the polls, or maybe less, maybe 7%. I'm sorry, it's Sliwa that has 11%. So it's interesting. He murdered all those people, but I do feel he got pushed out because he wouldn't go with their agenda. He did. And I think that a lot of the things that he did during COVID later on came from Obama and Pelosi and those who were guiding the agenda. I have to say, because if you remember early Cuomo and early Newsom, they were very complimentary of Trump and how he was handling the whole COVID situation. Go find the tapes. You'll see them. They were very complimentary. Most of the churches are compromised. Yeah, well, but the thing is that Charlie Kirk tried to get people to go back to church. And now people are going back to church. And now churches are being targeted more and more. And I think that this is just the beginning. I mean, they're going to terrorize our country, and they're going to stop us from doing what we do every day comfortably. Are you going to stop what you do? Are you going to change your habits because of what's going on out there? How do you feel about these domestic terrorist actions? Cuomo has to keep his hands to himself when it comes to the ladies. I got to tell you something, Ramon. That was all a load of bullshit. I mean, I know Cuomo. I worked with him. I'm not going to say we went out to dinner together. We did not, but I worked closely with him and his staff, and he was always really appreciative. He was always respectful. Remember, he was and is still, I think, a bachelor, right? Or no, wait, didn't he? Wait, he married the baking lady, right? Yeah, he married the baking lady. But for a long time, he was a bachelor. And so he was dating people, just like for a long time, Trump was a bachelor, and he was dating a lot of people before Melania, in between Tiffany. No, not Tiffany. What was her name? Oh, God. So the first one was Ivana. I can't remember. Ivana. And then he had Tiffany's mom. I forget her name. Marla Maples. And now the first lady, Melania. But in between there, he dated. And because he was so well known, everybody knew that, who he was, and that they used to call him a playboy. Katie Lee, right? Yeah, she's almost nearly homemade was her show. Marla Maples, yes. So he was set up. Yes, he was set up. The whole thing was set up. That's why I say he's got a lot of scores to settle. Sometimes, even if it's your enemy, you want to see them settle the scores as long. What's that saying? The enemy of my enemies is my friend. That's a possibility. It's a big possibility. All right. I wanted to show you something else that happened that Wait, hold on. We have more comments. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Yeah, neither am I. Listen, I don't know. Did you all see the Comey interview? Should I play that again? Because we had like nobody here when that interview played. Let me play that again since we're going long anyway. We're probably going to do an hour today. Let me just remind everybody. Here's an interview with James Comey in 2018. Listen to him, what he says about him setting up Mike Flynn. It's kind of like when Biden talked about Burisma and the money in Ukraine. Watch.
Ending up in the sit room. How did that happen?
I sent them. Something I probably wouldn't have done or maybe gotten away with in a more organized investigation, a more organized administration, in the George W. Bush administration, for example, or the Obama administration. The protocol, two men that all of us have perhaps increased appreciation for over the last 2 years. And in both of those administrations, there was process. And so if the FBI wanted to send agents into the White House itself to interview a senior official, you would work through the White House counsel, and there'd be discussions and approvals and who would be there. And I thought, it's early enough, let's just send a couple guys over. And so we placed a call to Flynn, said, hey, we're sending a couple guys over. Hope you'll talk to them. He said, sure. Nobody else was there. They interviewed him in a conference room at the White House Situation Room, and he lied to them. And that's what he's now pled guilty to.
What did he think they were coming over there for?
I don't think he knew. No, we didn't tell him. Just said, we've got sending over a couple of agents. I want to ask you some questions. I didn't have this conversation. My deputy director did. But hope you got a few minutes you can sit down and talk to them. And he said, sure.
For those of you listening it to the second time, are you as aggravated as I am? The fact that they didn't tell him why they wanted to talk to him. The fact that, now here's a military guy, right? And the fact that they knowingly subverted protocol, they knowingly mind fucked him, right? Or knowingly screwed around, went around him to supposedly, quote unquote, get him. Again, did he do something wrong? I don't know. Supposedly he warned, I think it was Turkey, about something we were doing, supposedly. I don't know if it's true or not. And I met Mike Flynn, but I can't tell you. I mean, good people have done bad things. Many good people have done bad things. But when I hear the director of the FBI knowingly subverting protocol to nail somebody and taking advantage of the administration, and then saying that they weren't organized, and he took advantage of that. And oh, by the way, he was only there for a couple of months when this all happened, and to utilize that to undermine the president and his administration. Unbelievable how crazy this country is being wronged by all these attacks on our protection and rights from these evil criminals who are trying to destroy our United States of America. So that's the whole thing, right? I mean, so they're talking about, the left, are talking about this is the end of the democracy, right? Trump wants to end democracy. That is subverting democracy. You know the protocols, Comey. You know, and at the end of the day, what did they gain out of him? But he pled guilty, and it's a funny thing because I know a couple of people who were being investigated by the FBI, who were scooped up in a bigger, wide net, and they were innocent of any wrongdoing, but they almost pled guilty. Because the FBI touts 99% rate of conviction. Well, when you hear that and you know it's going to cost you your house, your family, your retirement fund, every dollar that you own to go against the United States government that has all of our taxpayer monies to prosecute you. Some people will just cave and plead guilty, whether they are or not, because they want to save their family. And they figure spending some time in a white collar jail is better than depleting all of everything they work for the whole entire life and making their family go through it. And I know a couple of people that actually wanted to plead guilty. And some people did. One of them is Michael Grimm, right? Congressman. He wound up pleading guilty to paying people off the books and went to jail for it. He was reelected, by the way, by the highest margin ever when he had 27 indictments against him, because people knew then how the bullshit that was going on. But he wound up pleading guilty because he didn't have the money to fight it. Vito Fossella, right? Decided to not run again for office. That was during the Clinton administration, and the Attorney General met him on the tarmac somewhere and spoke to him. And then miraculously, after the situation with the DUI and and the whole daughter and all that was revealed, but he was pushed out. And I truly believe, had he run again, he would have, just like Grimm, he would have won re-election. So, the FBI has been using their power against Americans for many, many years. It's kind of what they do, right? And Obama was notorious for it. So Comey, was he still loyal to Obama? It sounds like he was to me. I don't think he was guilty of anything and was coerced into taking a bribe. It was a total setup, very sad. Well, they're trying to do it now, or they tried to do it with Tom Homan, right? Biden. As soon as Trump won, all of a sudden this thing happens. And supposedly there's Homan accepting a fast food bag of money to get some people government contracts with DHS, $50,000. Honestly. Let's think about it for a minute. What was his name? What's the Jersey senator's name that he and his wife that had gold bricks in his jacket and money stashed everywhere? Why can't I remember his name? God damn it! Somebody help me. It's the web in my head. I swear to God, I can't. No, it's that I'm 62 years old. Anyway. We were talking millions with him. Thank you. Thank you, Bob Menendez. Thank you. I knew it started with an M. Millions. Okay. If Homan was going to take a bribe to go against the United States, I would expect it's going to be millions, not $50,000 in a fast food bag. Thank God you guys are all so smart and you're so quick and you all have your wits about you. I mean, really, you're going to compromise your ethics, your whole career, everything going forward for $50,000? That doesn't even buy you a car, especially after Biden and inflation. What the hell would $50,000 buy anybody? Oh my God. Oh, I didn't realize that, Ramona. I always thought you were from Brooklyn. Yeah. So anyway, but now they're trying to say that Homan, did that. And and I truly believe that the Attorney General under Trump took a look at that and said, okay, no, that smells. And I want to see if that really happened. I'd like to see the recording. Why wouldn't Biden release it right away before he became the head of home? What is he the head of? I forget. The border czar. Why wouldn't they have released it? Because it was AI. If it's there, it's AI. Or they thought that the American public would buy it. They're so full of it. I can't take their lies. Here's the thing. I don't trust the government anymore. I don't trust the news media anymore. And with all respect, with Trump, that government is still not his. That there are people underneath him, tons of them, that are working to, unravel his administration. Again, just like Comey did, just like I think Bill Barr did the same thing. I think Bill Barr, I don't think he was actively trying to hurt Trump, but I think he thought he saw Trump going down, so he jumped ship and jumped on board with the ones trying to take him down. I think Lindsey Graham did the same thing, and then he came back again. And Trump forgave him. I don't know why, but Woman is a badass. He does not. Holman is a badass. He does not seem the bribe type. I mean, for 50 grand, Colleen, you can't even buy a car for 50 grand. Why would he need 50 grand? I mean, he had a good pension. He had plenty of money. He was retired already. He didn't want to keep working. He just did it for Trump. Yeah, the government does suck. All right. Anyway, before we get longer than an hour, no trust at all there. So yes, they are liars. So this happened in Portland the other day. Watch.
Tour bus for rapper Ice Cube caught fire in downtown Portland Tuesday morning, just hours after his Moda Center show. Fire crews responded to Southwest Oak and Broadway, where they say that the bus had caught fire. They quickly put it out and cleared the smoke.
Wait a minute. I stopped it for a reason. I can't stop it and start it. I got to start from the beginning. But I want you to read carefully and listen carefully at the end what Ice Cube said. All right. Because the Portland News is reporting this very differently than what Ice Cube said. Watch.
Tour bus for rapper Ice Cube caught fire in downtown Portland Tuesday morning, just hours after his Moda Center show. Fire crews responded to Southwest Oak and Broadway, where they say that the bus had caught fire. They quickly put it out and cleared the smoke. No injuries were reported. Ice Cube's team says the crew is safe. The performer did share this statement saying, quote, "I'm not taking this incident as a personal attack. A coward like that would burn anybody's property that was out there at the time." Meantime, investigators are reviewing surveillance footage and working to find out what exactly started the fire.
So they're acting as if it just spontaneously combusted. But apparently, apparently it was firebombed. Okay. Somebody did it. Now, that this happened on, I think it was Friday or Thursday. So there's surveillance footage out there, but we're not hearing the rest of the story, right? I looked everywhere on the internet. There's no reason for it given by officials. But do you know what the internet is saying? The internet is saying that the Antifa assholes saw the word ICE on the side of the bus and thought they were there to take migrants out. And so they firebombed it. So, thank you. Look at you all. You're fantastic. Thank you. Ramon says it. That's it. Bing, 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 bing. So, the internet is reporting that Antifa saw Ice Cube on the side. And so they firebombed the bus thinking that they were taking out ICE agents. Now, I do not know if that's true or not, but it makes sense because why would Ice Cube, if it spontaneously combusted, if it was something mechanical or any of that stuff, why would Ice Cube say, I'm not taking it purposely? That person would set it on fire for anybody. Why? Yeah. So, and Antifa's out there in Portland tonight doing their thing. So I don't know. The internet, could be right. I have to tell you something. Here's what I've learned. If you want to know what's actually going on out there, go to X because they know everything. Everything. I know it's a difficult platform and all that, but they know everything. They really do. So that's where I get my news. There was some piece of bullshit that somebody put up. I think it was Antifa too, that said that Trump, the committee for the Nobel Peace Prize has banned Trump permanently because he changed the Department of Defense name to the Department of War. I mean, there's so much shit out there. So whenever I want to know if it's true, I can always confirm it through X because they do know everything. So anyway, we went way over today, but we had a good audience and I hope that I didn't freeze up. I hope that you learned something today and I love learning from you. You guys are great. I love talking with you every day because I've got to tell you, I yell at the TV on a regular basis. At least with you, I could get it out and I can get your feedback. So it's good to have you. Enough is enough with these morons. Get out of America. They're not going. They're here. They're like a cancer. We did it. We did it. We got to figure out how to undo it. And we can't use the same violence they are. CBS News is now called See the BS News. That's true. And also NBC, worst news station ever. Okay, I will see you tomorrow at 8 o'clock. We are really late. Love you all. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.